So you want full custody of your child here in Alabama. Full custody is what we in the legal field call sole physical custody, subject to the other side's visitation. If you want sole physical custody in Alabama, you need to be prepared for how that is actually going to affect your life. If you work in the service industry, um, that's going to be tough for sole physical custody. If you work second or third shift in local industry, that's going to be tough. Sole physical, guys, and I'm not saying it's fair, I'm saying it's what it is. It's kind of a 9 to 5, 8 to 5 thing. Can you get your kids to school on time? Can you pick them up at a reasonable hour or make sure that they are picked up at a reasonable hour? So the first thing you got to think about with sole physical custody is your availability. If you really want sole physical custody and you are committed to doing whatever it takes to have as much time with and around your kids as possible, the first thing you've got to do is take a hard look at your schedule, how you operate your life to create the space and the opportunity for you to be a single parent. You've got to start with you. If you really want sole physical custody, you've got to build your life and your schedule and frankly your finances and your network of support folks in such a way that you can properly and effectively not just survive single parenthood but thrive. So build a house. Like if you think about like your life and your schedule and your calendar and your bank accounts and your finances as a house, you have to build that space for sole physical custody first. You don't just get it and like cross your fingers and hope everything's going to fall into place. So you've got to look in the mirror and build your life in such a way that you can support and execute sole physical custody effectively. Courts in Alabama consider several factors when deciding child custody cases. The first thing they're going to look at, and the first thing they are statutorily required to look at, is joint physical, almost equal custody between both parents. Um, we live in an age, and it's great, and we should, where we're not assigning specific gender roles to specific parents, where we consider that children benefit from having an equal relationship with both parents. So we start from a place where the Alabama legislature has actually said the courts must consider joint physical custody. So we've got the legislator telling us we're going to consider joint physical custody. And if there's not some significant issue, and it may not be somebody's fault, it might just be somebody's an emergency room doctor and works 80 hours a week and they don't need sole physical custody because they work too much, or somebody's a child custody lawyer and they're working at a law firm and they're working 60, 70, 80 hours a week and they don't need sole physical custody. If there's not some unique situation like addiction or violence, criminal activity, the court's going to take a strong look at 50-50 custody. That's where working with an experienced lawyer who has experience in front of each judge, each court system, there are some judges that are a little bit reluctant to take a strong look at 50-50 custody. They want a child to be able to say, okay, that's my house. They don't want a child sitting there thinking, feeling, oh, I'm at my dad's house this week. I'm at my mom's house next week. But not really having a sense of place, not understanding or feeling like, wow, where's my house? When do I ever stay at my house? There are some judges that subscribe to that philosophy, and so they are really going to skip right over joint physical custody. And then they're going to look at, well, where's the child been most of the time? Where does the child feel most comfortable? Whose schedule is most conducive to supporting sole physical custody? Those are some of the things that the court is going to look at. We're legislatively required to consider 50-50 custody, but beyond that, we're going to look at the schedule, we're going to look at the unique situation, we're going to look at the child's unique needs and each parent's respective availability or ability to meet those needs. And that's how the court is going to determine your child custody schedule. There is no one strategy to winning a child custody case. I mean, if you're seeking sole physical custody and that's what you define as a win, I guess that's one strategy, is first define what winning is. I mean, if you want to win your child custody case, what is winning? Maybe winning is getting as much time with my child as possible. Maybe winning is standing up for myself and not getting pushed around anymore. Maybe winning is I'm never going to agree for some doctor to throw a bunch of pills down my child's throat. Maybe that's winning. So let's define the win. But once we've defined the win, there's no magical formula, magical process to winning your child custody case. When we do define what winning is, we have an opportunity to simplify and align everything in our case towards that win. And that means centering the case around a specific theme, a thematic element. If it's the other side's a drunk, like we're not going to talk about how they spend, or at least spend a lot of time talking about how they ran up a bunch of credit card debt. We're going to spend a lot of time talking about how they're drunk. Or if we do talk about the credit card debt, we're going to show that the credit card was built up because we're going to the ABC store, 7 times a week or something, or multiple times in one day. We're going to gear everything around that thematic element that we're essentially banking on to swing the case our way. I say simplify it. I say center the case around a specific theme because you know your life better than anybody. You know your child better than anybody. The judge that's about to try and hear your child custody case doesn't know you, doesn't know your situation, doesn't know anything about what's going on and what's best for your child. And they're going to be there for a half day, a day, maybe more than one day if it's particularly complex. But as much as they're ever going to hear our evidence and what you've got going on in your family, they're not going to have enough to really take in all the information that you know. So we've got to gear our entire presentation, our entire strategy, and each individual tactic towards that thematic element of whatever this case happens to be about. We use the example of the other side's a drunk, and we sort of link everything to that, so that the judge can hang all of that evidence on that one sort of closet pole hanger. The other side's drunkenness. Maybe the other side's decent. Maybe the other side is an emergency room doctor working strange hours and working 80 hours a week. Well, the doctor's lawyer might want to say, hey man, this person is a superhero in our community. And what a great example for the children. What do we make the case about? The other side's not there. They're not there. I don't care who they are, they're not there. I don't care who they saved, they're not there. I don't care how much money they make, they're not there. So whatever the unique strategy or unique tactics that are going to serve you and your family best when you're trying to win your child custody case, we tend to try to make it simple, make it about one thing, and make it unassailable. And that's what the court is going to be able to remember in a field full of complicated, complex issues. There's a common mistake that parents make in their child custody cases. I see this so often, and it's kind of like different flavors, whether you're a mother or a father. It's two versions of the same problem. And you've got to own and not hide from your bullshit. If there's a mental health issue on any level, whether you're a father, whether you're a mother, fathers don't want to deal with their anger because they don't want to come off looking like an asshole. And so they're not dealing with their anger, and so they end up an asshole. Mothers are dealing with mental health challenges, but they don't want to look like they're crazy, so they don't get help, and therefore end up with untreated mental health challenges. So I think either parent own, and it's not your bullshit. I mean, I use that term loosely, but It's own whatever challenges you're facing, whatever challenges you're standing up to. If you're an angry dude and you've had some setbacks and you're pissed off, fine, let's own it, let's work on it. If you're dealing with depression or anxiety or bipolar disorder, or whichever parent you are, own it, deal with it, medicate it. We've got parents out there not getting the help that they need. So we're sitting around with untreated mental health issues out there that's hurting you, that's hurting your kids, and ultimately it is going to hurt your case. Because if you're not getting the help you need and doing the work you need to do to address some of your own issues, it's not a fault issue, but you owe it to yourself and you owe it to your family to do the work. It's gonna come out. Like somebody who works in this industry all day, every day, like I see it as soon as these people sit down. That there's something going on. Some of them are getting the treatment they need and they're not ashamed of it, and that's how you do it. Some of it are getting the treatment they need and they are ashamed of it and they're scared of how it's going to affect their case. They don't need to be scared or ashamed. But I think the most common mistake people make is not owning their shit. I'm not going to call it bullshit. Just own your shit, whether it's mental health, whether it's financial struggles, whether it's drug recovery or drug addiction. Own it. Be proud of what you're doing to address it and address it appropriately rather than hide from it. Because a lawyer like me, we're going to see it. We're going to figure it out. We're going to get to the bottom of it. Hit it head on. And you can demonstrate it and use it to your advantage. Not only is that a mistake parents make in child custody cases, that's a missed opportunity to say, man, look at what I'm doing to address my challenges. Look at what I'm doing to serve and support my recovery. That's what people need to be doing to be more effective in their child custody case.